morning. Welcome everyone to the February 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. I'm Pamela Jo Hatley. I'll be the Land Use Hearing Officer today. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. All right, like I said, I'm Pamela Jo Hatley. I'll be the Land Use Hearing Officer today. And we'll first hear from Mr. Tom Hisney with the Development Services Department, who will announce any changes to the agenda.
Good morning, Ms. Hatley. My name is Tom Hisney. I'm with the Hillsborough County Development Services Department. To my left is Carmen Mason. He's also with Development Services. We are going to be joined today virtually by Mary Dorman from the County Attorney's Office, and also by a number of staff planners from Development Services. We have the following withdrawals and continuances that I will now read into the record. Item A1, variance application 20-0398, the applicant Eloy Martinez. This application has been withdrawn from processing by the zoning administrator. Item A2, variance application 20-1088. The applicant is Francisco Otero Ocasio. This application has been withdrawn by the applicant. Item A3, general special use application 21-0003. The applicant is Denise Donaldson and Alan Jones. This application is being continued by staff to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A4, special use application 21-0092. The applicant is Gasparilla Pizzeria LLC. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A5, special use application 21-0143. Applicant is Life International Academy Incorporated. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the April 26, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A6, special use application 21-0144. The applicant is Razorback Ranch LLC. This application is being continued by staff to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A7, variance application 21-0149. The applicant is Olga Zarza. This application is being continued by staff to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A8, variance application 21-0181. The applicant is Complete Signs LLC. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Application A9, variance application 21-0266. The applicant is Sherney Hyatt. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A10, variance application 21-0246. The applicant is Saeed Lee. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A11, variance application 21-0247. The applicant is Cheryl Kilcoyne, EE Land Company, and Curry Investments Incorporated. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A12, variance application 21-0248. Applicant is Jason Posiak. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. And finally, item A13, variance application 21-0275. The applicant is Stephen Dibbs. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the March 22nd, 2021 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Hisney. All right, before we proceed, I will introduce the procedures for today. First of all, if you have any devices on you that make noise, silence them now, please. Today's agenda consists of items that require a public hearing by a hearing master. I will conduct a hearing on each item today and will submit a decision within 15 working days after the conclusion of today's public hearings. My decision will be filed with the clerk of the Board of County Commissioners. The hearings today will be in
This is James Brewer with Communications. I just received notice from Adam Gormley of Development Services. He feels it would be in the best interest of the public citizens to ensure that our citizens have joined the WebEx successfully before we continue with the meeting. Chris, is there any way that you can verify? I would say a large majority of the citizens have joined the WebEx session this morning. Mr. Clark, if you would like to weigh in on this, please do so.
James, just to let you know, we do have, I'm checking right now. I believe we have one of the 4 citizens signed up that are actually called in.
And Chris, this is Cameron. Repeat that again. It was a little bit muffled. You said we had 4 citizens that had registered to speak.
There are 4 who signed up on WebEx, and out of those 4, one of them is in the meeting.
So 1 out of 4 have joined the session.
Correct.
So just to articulate my concern, the link that went out in the invite to people who registered, anyone who's trying to link, and James, tell me if I'm wrong, because this is at least what happened to me. Anyone who's trying to link in using a laptop or a desktop isn't able, the link won't work. I'm linked now through my tablet, and parties in staff who are linking through tablets are able to link to the meeting. But the green join meeting button that went out on an invite, if someone's trying to link on that using their laptop or their desktop, it's not working, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Not entirely, sir. So the issue with WebEx is related only with IIO laptops. So any personal devices should join successfully, no problem. It's only related to the IIO network image device. So in theory, a citizen using their personal device and their personal network should have no issue joining the session.
So are you saying that the only people having difficulty potentially linking would be county staff?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, and if that's the case, I'm okay with proceeding. As long as any interested citizen or applicant can participate the same way they usually would, I'm fine with it, because staff can adapt as long as that's okay with development services. That's fine with me.
Excuse me. Sorry for interrupting. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I didn't hear the application number 210238.
I would have to defer that to development services. Tom Hisney and the hearing officer, I'm going to hand this meeting back to you, and you have the floor.
Of the cases that are not going to be heard today, the case I think you referenced, 21-0238, that is item G6 on the agenda and is scheduled to be heard today. Okay, sir.
I apologize. The reception, the voice was cutting off. I apologize. I couldn't hear what it said. You said 210238.
Right. So the case you're interested in is 21-0238, correct?
Yes, 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 sir.
Yes, that case actually will be heard today. The cases numbers that I read off at the beginning of the meeting are the ones that are not going to be heard today. So that item 21-0238 is item G6 on our agenda and will be heard today.
Thank you.
Okay. Clear to proceed then? Yes, okay. So the hearings today will be informal. I will ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony and may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate. I will decide all questions of procedure. I will take evidence, but will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence may be presented in written form, and all testimony shall be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding of fact, unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil court action. The order of presentations today will be as follows. For variances, Mr. Hisney will call the case. Development Services will have 5 minutes to present its report and findings. The applicant and the applicant's witnesses will have 15 minutes to present the proposal. Proponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments in support of the proposal. Opponents will then have 15 minutes to present arguments against the proposal. Then county staff will have 5 minutes to present any amended findings or comments, and the applicants will have 5 minutes for rebuttal and summation. For special use cases, after Mr. Hisney calls the case, the applicant and the applicant's witnesses go first. They'll have 15 minutes to present the proposal. Then County Development Services will have 5 minutes to present its report and findings. Then Planning Commission will have 5 minutes to present its findings of compliance or non-compliance with the comprehensive plan. Proponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments in support of the proposal, and opponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments against the proposal. County staff will have 5 minutes to present any amended findings or comments, and the applicant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal and summation. The 15 minutes for proponents and opponents is the total time allotted among them. So if there are a number of persons who wish to speak, the 15 minutes will be distributed among those persons. When you come to the microphone, please first state your name and address for the record. This meeting is being recorded, so please speak into the microphone clearly so your testimony can be recorded. And when you're finished speaking, please see the clerk to sign in for the record. The clerk is on my right. Now we'll hear from the county attorney's office about the legal requirements for procedures for appeal.
This land use hearing officer public hearing is for variance and special use requests. This is the time for interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Once the hearing officer has closed a case, the record of that case is also closed and no new evidence regarding that case may be submitted thereafter. Any decision by the hearing officer may be appealed to the Land Use Appeals Board. Should a decision of the hearing officer be appealed, the evidence and testimony presented at this public hearing shall be the only evidence that is subject to review by the Appeals Board. In reaching a final decision on petitions, the Appeals Board will only consider the decision of the hearing officer and the record made at this public hearing. If an appeal is filed, the Appeals Board hearing shall consist of oral argument by the party appealing the decision, county staff, and any interveners, each of whom may be represented by legal counsel. The following shall have standing to appeal a decision of the hearing officer or to intervene in an appeal. 1, the applicant, or 2, anyone who appeared before the hearing officer, presented testimony or other evidence, and is adversely affected by the decision of the hearing officer. It is the role of the county attorney's office to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is allowed before the appeals board that was not presented to the hearing officer at today's hearing. The county attorney will recommend that the appeals board disregard evidence or testimony that is outside the record made at today's public hearing. Any evidence presented to the appeals board that is outside of the record created at today's hearing could jeopardize the legality of the appeals board decision, and the presenter of that evidence could hurt their own cause. The safest course of action then is for you to write down any comments you may make today and repeat them to the appeals board.
Thank you, Ms. Furman. So all testimony taken today must be under oath. If you plan to speak, please stand and raise your hand and I'll swear you in. And if there are any online who are going to be speaking today, please also do the same. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. All right. Mr. Hisney, would you please call the first case?
Okay. So, we have no vested rights cases today, no fee waivers, and no reconsideration requests, which takes us to section E of the agenda, site development variances. Our first and only case, and that is item E1, variance application 21-0201. The applicant is William Alvaro Diaz, requesting a variance to encroach into a wetland conservation area setback. Staff findings will be presented by Carla Shelton.
Good morning. Is my audio okay?
Yes.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a variance from the 30-foot wetland conservation area setback requirement, section 4.01.07B of the Land Development Code. The applicant's specific request, as shown on the site plan submitted on December 15th, 2020, is to allow for construction of a portion of a pool, deck, and fire pit within the 30-foot wetland conservation area setback. Per the Land Development Code, section 4.01.07B4, no filling, excavating, or placement of permanent structures or other impervious surfaces shall be allowed within a required 30-foot wetland conservation area setback. The applicant requests construction of a portion of a pool, deck, and fire pit within the 30-foot wetland conservation area setback. The applicant requests a 17.17 foot reduction of the setback to allow for a setback of 12.83 feet. That's all from staff.
Thank you. All right. Applicant, is the applicant here? All right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please give me the microphone and tell us your name and address first, please.
Thank you. My name is William Alvaro Diaz. Address is 14018 Ellesmere Drive, Tampa, Florida 33624.
All right, and I need you to keep your mask on, please. Thank you.
Thank you. So today, like William said, I'm asking for a roughly 1,400 square feet of encroachment in order to build a swimming pool for my family for a new home that we are building. The amount of the excavation area for the pool itself is probably roughly about 700 square feet. It was in the original plans of the house. I still have my children are still young. I like to have a pool built with a home to enjoy for, years to come and at least until they grow out of the house. You're probably asking why such a big encroachment. My original design, as I stated in the application, was for about 200 square feet of encroachment, which wasn't a whole lot. A side note to this that has a lot to do with my decision is the fact that this particular lake for many, many, many years have flooded, and they've had a real issue because another two lakes empty into that lake, and they've been trying to get an easement built in to help ease that stress on the residents around the lake for many years. I was approached because my lot was the only empty one and the best one, the best candidate for the actual easement by county. And in doing so, in working with them, I was able to accommodate that request with county to ease that stress on the residents and it changed the landscaping of everything. I had to change the design of the house a bit, and this allowed them to be able to do the easement, but I had to change the design of the house and now put the pool in the back of the house where before it was going to be to the south, southwest of the house. And because of this is what shows a lot of encroachment. Now, again, a lot of it is deck, which is obviously not permanent. About 700 feet, like I mentioned before, the true encroachment, not true encroachment, but the actual excavation area of the pool. In addition to that, due to that accommodation, they've been able to excavate and build the easement now, and we're working with other neighbors to be able to complete it, to be able to get the water out of the lake and into the wetland across the street that empties into the bay. In addition to that, which is more important, I think, in this hearing, is that they wiped a lot of the landscaping that was there before in order to build the house itself. So there was not a lot of true resourceful plants and natural resources there in that area. However, I have presented a very aggressive and robust replanting plan with the assistance of an EPC ex-agent. I don't know if you have that available to you, but I have it right here. I'm actually going above and beyond. Sorry, keep slipping down.
It should go over your nose too, please. Thank you.
Thank you. We created a replenishment plant of 1-to-1 ratio, but it's actually more. We are replanting about 1,600 square feet to make up for the lost vegetation around the house, in the back of the around the pool, and all over the area that surrounds the pool, and as far south as I can without encroaching into the easement. Obviously, I need to have that area cleaned out. Maybe able to plant some stuff there that doesn't grow high. We're looking into that as well. But I provided the actual report of what we're doing. And also a design to show where around the pool in my lot we are planting the vegetation. In addition to that, we have identified the five different species that are particular of lakefront lots, and we are going to plant that around the house.
All right, anything else?
I think that's it for me. Let me see. Oh, and one more thing. I'm sure you have it already, but EPC also stated that they don't have any issues with the variance that I'm asking for.
Okay. Mr. Alward,
Yes, ma'am.
talk about the drainage easement a little bit more. First of all, you described it as it's going to actually convey water from the lake into the area?
Correct. So across the street from me, from my lot, there is a conservation area as well, is wetlands that, from what I was told by the county agent that was heading this project, that area empties into other bodies of water, which in turn empties into the bay. So ideally, this will relieve 3 lakes around the area, the 2 that empty into my lake, and obviously my lake will empty into that conservation area across the street. So the easement is on the south end of my lot, and it goes east to west. It's been built already. I was the main piece, obviously, of this puzzle. And I agreed to do this, I think about 8 to 10 months ago. They've done it. Now they're working with the other neighbors to allow now a piping to go across the front and through, because right across the street and area belongs to a gentleman down the street who opposed it. It's my understanding. So now they're working with my neighbor to the north to allow the pipe to go across the street into his lot across the street. And somehow, and they're still gonna do the same thing. Still go, the purpose of this whole thing and the outcome will be that the piping will go across, under the street and across the street into the conservation area. But the neighbor to the north, of my understanding, has agreed to work with the county and they already agree on terms on whatever agreement they have.
Okay, and the drainage property is 15 feet wide?
I believe so.
And part of your hardship argument is that you had to move the location of your pool from that side of your house to the rear because of the 15-foot easement, is that correct?
Correct, ma'am.
And is there not a 15-foot setback on that side of the house?
It is, but this is on the south side of the house. I don't know if you can see anything, but I don't understand that part very well. All I know is that I was able to build the garage differently and set the pool right behind, which was still going to encroach, but not to the degree that we're talking now. So we like to tweak the drawings we're actually in the middle of the drawings when we decided to accommodate this and switched it around.
Yeah, I'm looking at your survey that you submitted into the record, and it shows a 15-foot side yard setback on both sides of your property. So that exists already, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I have no additional questions for you right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Come sign in the clerk's office, please. Are there any persons here today or online who wish to speak as proponents in support of this proposal? Online, okay. Are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in opposition to this proposal? No one online, and I don't see anyone here. All right, development services, any amended recommendations?
Nothing more from natural resources staff.
Okay. Does the applicant have any further comments on this one? Okay, thank you. All right, that will close the hearing on this item, 21-0201, and we'll call the next item.
That closes section B of the agenda, and we have no signed variance request today, so that takes us to section G, the general variances. First case is item G1, application 20-0496. The applicant is Abby Feely. The nature of the requests are variances to the State Road 60 overload district requirements, also variances to lot development standards, and also buffering and screening requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Israel Monsanto.
Thank you.
Good
So,
morning.
Mr. Monsanto?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Israel Monsanto Development Services. The applicant is requesting multiple variances for a site located on the northeast corner of State Route 60 and Ridgewood Avenue in Brandon. The parcel is within the suburban sector of the State Route 60 overlay district. The site is zoned commercial general and is currently developed with a motor vehicle repair shop, which used to be a gas station along State Route 60, and also a hair salon on the north portion of the parcel. In 2015 and 2016, additions were constructed attached to the west and east of the motor vehicle repair building without building permits, a portion of the unpermitted addition is encroaching into required 30-foot front yard setbacks along Ridgewood Avenue to the west. Additionally, maximum impervious surface of 70% has been exceeded in areas of the parking lot, and areas of the parking lot, are encroaching into 6 and 8 foot perimeter buffers. Based on discussions between staff and the applicant, it has not yet been determined the applicability of variances from the State Route 60 overlay. However, the applicant has elected to include a variance request from these overlay requirements for a 30-foot buffer along Brandon Boulevard. The variances requested are from 3 different land development code sections. Section 60101 to increase the maximum impervious surface by 9% and reduce the required front setback by 21 feet. Section 606 buffers and screening to reduce the perimeter buffer by 3 feet along Ridgewood Avenue and a buffer by 5 feet along the east parcel line. Also, the perimeter buffer between the vehicular use area and the property boundary along the north will be removed. Lastly, as stated, a requirement found in the Part 314 of the State Route 60 overlay to reduce a required buffer along Brandon Boulevard by 22 feet is being requested. The site will be required to submit site development plans for review and after-the-fact building permits for the unpermitted building additions if the variances are approved. Additional variances may be required to be filed by the applicant and approved by the land use hearing officer if these are found during future site reviews or permitting. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear from the applicant.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Jessica Eisterman. I'm an attorney with Stearns Weaver Miller. I'm here today as an applicant and representative on behalf of Huff Muffler of Brandon. Also with me today is Justin Wright, the owner of Huff Muffler of Brandon, and Amanda Wright, the owner of Shabby Chic Hair Boutique.
I'm sorry, Sherman, could you please pull the microphone down just a little bit? Thank you. Sure. That's better.
Okay. Did you do that? Or? I wanted to. Okay. So the general location of the property is at 702 East Brandon Boulevard. Like Mr. Monsanto said, it's at the northeast corner of Ridgewood Ave and Brandon Boulevard. So the property is located in the commercial general zoning district and is within the State Route 60 overlay. The property is entirely surrounded by non-residential uses, and we have received letters of support from the neighbors and from customers, and I will enter those letters into the record today. And I do want to point out the neighbor to the east, directly to the east, is a restaurant. It's Crafty Crab. They have also signed a letter of support. So the property contains 2 businesses. The hair salon operates out of a 1-story structure that was originally constructed almost 100 years ago in the 1920s. And there's also an auto repair facility which operates out of an old gas station, which was constructed originally in 1961. So Huff Muffler placed metal structures without building permits and is now seeking to correct the error by obtaining after-the-fact building permits. As soon as they realized their error, they started the process to bring everything into compliance. If the variances are obtained, Huff Muffler will proceed through the site plan review process and obtain after-the-fact building permits. They are currently not under any code enforcement action at this time. The top photo kind of shows the history of the improvements that were made. And the bottom photo shows the unpermitted expansions as they exist today. You can see I circled there's a western expansion and an eastern expansion on either side of the 1961 original gas station.
Ms. Eiserman?
Yes.
The 1920s building, is that the one that's the hair salon?
That's correct.
Okay, and then the 60s was the old gas station. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
So You'll notice that the property has an overall tidy appearance and is just a nice looking property. They purchased this property and have revitalized it, and the neighbors are very appreciative of the fact that the area is now much nicer looking, the landscape is maintained, etc. So since the property contains two very old structures and is within the State Road 60 overlay, hardship and practical difficulty exist for Huff Method to expand and strictly comply with the code. As a result, we are requesting 5 variances to allow for a reasonable expansion of the business, to improve ADA access, and to improve safety. So the first variance is a request that relates to the total amount of impervious surface to increase it from 70% to 79%. Importantly, there is no request from the stormwater requirements, no request for a variance from the stormwater requirements. In fact, the property has already been improved with a stormwater facility. In addition to the existing constraints on the property due to the nature of its prior use as a gas station, this request is in line with the amount of impervious area contained on other auto repair facilities within a half-mile radius. The site, as its nature as an auto repair facility, requires parking and drive aisles to accommodate the service bays and pedestrians. This request also requires larger impervious areas to maintain safely maneuvering of the vehicles and pedestrians. So the second variance is a request to reduce the front yard setback on Ridgewood Ave. Since the property is a corner lot, it has 2 front yards. We are requesting to reduce the setback along Ridgewood Ave from 30 feet to 9 feet and 4 feet to accommodate the ADA compliant ramp. A ramp is required because the property is elevated a few feet above the sidewalk, as you can see in this photo. Due to the existing structure and canopy, there's no other feasible location for business expansion or the location of the ADA sidewalk, thereby requiring a variance to reduce the setback along the side street. This photo shows the side yard at 9 feet, and you can see that the building is well maintained and the landscaping is aesthetically pleasing. The third variance is requesting a reduction in the landscape buffer and associated plantings from 30 feet to 8 feet along State Road 60. The property was developed as a gas station when State Road 60 was a 4-lane road, and it expanded, when State Road 60 expanded to 6 lanes, the buffer was eliminated through a taking. With the existing structures on the property, it's extremely difficult to meet this requirement. Huff Method is proposing to add an 8-foot landscape buffer to what exists today. This photo shows what exists today in the future location of the 8-foot buffer. You can see the little 8-foot in the photo. So if a 30-foot buffer were imposed, half of the parking area would be consumed as well as the canopy. So it's nearly impossible for this site with the existing 1961 structure to meet that 30-foot buffer. The fourth variance is to accommodate a request by the county to reorient the parking area in front of the hair salon to improve safety. As it exists today, vehicles back out onto Ridgewood Avenue directly. As proposed, the parking area would be reoriented so that vehicles do not back out into Ridgewood Ave directly. In order to fit 2 parking spaces, the landscape buffer between the parking area and Ridgewood Ave would need to be reduced from 8 feet to 5 feet. Again, this variance is needed to improve the safety of patrons exiting the parking area. And you can see the photo is the existing parking lot and how vehicles back directly into Ridgewood Ave. And as proposed, it's to reorient so that parking patrons can exit out front facing as opposed to rear into Ridgewood Ave. I should also point out that there is a fire station directly to the north of this property. And considering the urgency of fire trucks, this would significantly improve safety. The fifth and final variance is to reduce the perimeter landscape buffers from 6 feet to 0 feet. The adjacent properties appear to already have 6-foot buffers in place, and I would like to point out that per section 6.06.04.e.1, a landscape buffer is not required if such buffer is provided on the adjacent property. So to the extent this is applicable, we are requesting a variance from this provision. Also along the eastern property line, the property has historically been developed without any buffer. And along the northern property line, a variance is required to allow access to the rear parking lot behind the hair salon's facility.
Would you, please, Ms. Osborne, give me that land development code citation again?
Sure, it is section 6.06.04.E.1.
Thank you.
And we do have along the eastern side of the property line, we do have the neighbor in support. And along the north property line, that is a parking lot with, for the gas, for the fire station, excuse me. And to round out what is surrounding this property, to the south, obviously, is State Road 60, and then beyond that is a school, and then to the west of Muffler is Ridgewood Ave, and across that is a grocery store. So overall, this is a redevelopment. This is a redeveloped parcel with 2 successful businesses. These variances are necessary so that businesses can continue to operate, to improve safety, and to improve ADA access. Significant hardship exists for each of these variances. Due to the time constraints, I'll ask you to please review the variance response criteria, which goes into detail and addresses each criteria respectively for each variance. So I am available for any questions, and also the property owner is available for questions as well, for business owners.
Thank you, and I have reviewed the variance criteria, and I will again, before writing my report. Just wanted to back up, you mentioned the impervious surfaces, that variance that a stormwater management, I guess, stormwater management system is already in place. Was that done through permitting? I mean, is that a permitted system in place?
My understanding is that it was not permitted and that this is part of the site plan review that will be conducted. However, they had the foresight to understand that stormwater was an issue to be reckoned with.
Okay. And also, you mentioned something about with the 4th variance, and I understand the safety issue, but you mentioned that being requested by the county.
That's correct. So we have initial site plan, initially started the site plan review process, and through that process, that request was made.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have so far. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right. Are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in support of this proposal? Good morning. Good morning. It's really tall. Bring your microphone down if you need to, and please also give us your name and address for the record. Thank you. Will do.
Good morning, Ms. Hatley. For the record, my name is Janet Doherty. My address is 12722 Flint Lake Drive in Minnesota, Florida. And before I begin my formal remarks, I want to state for the record that I am here as a private citizen today and not in my official role as the executive director of EPC, and I have taken the day off work. I have known the applicants, Amanda and Justin Wright, and their 3 children forever, both personally and professionally. They are a young, hardworking couple with the automotive business and obviously the salon. Amanda is my hairdresser, although with COVID, that has been very difficult in the last year. They are great people who always give back to the community, their church, not-for-profit, and youth sports in the Brandon area and the Plant City area. This overlay district that we're talking about today should probably be revisited periodically, maybe all the overlay districts, but this was created specifically, spearheaded by a commissioner called Commissioner Rhonda Storms. It was created to beautify Highway 60 with landscaping and signs. It is several blocks long and runs up to the Valrico area where Commissioner Storms lives, just outside the overlay district, and runs a landscaping business. Interestingly, this overlay district, which is near the landscaping business, she has a non-conforming sign, which is a semi-truck that was lowered to the ground and painted And obviously, other people on 60 need to improve their signage, which they're committed to doing. It's been there for decades. I would encourage you to drive down Highway 60. Huff Muffler is one of the nicest, most beautifully landscaped businesses in the district. Considering fairness and equity, new businesses, many new businesses, I think a Jiffy Lube was built in this area, do not have to conform to many of these various requirements that are being put onto Amanda and Justin. And literally, you could walk across the street from these businesses, and they don't have any of these requirements that are being asked for today. Amanda and Justin have been working years to rectify this situation with the county, and appreciate the county working with them as well. They are committed towards having a beautiful landscaping and the signage, and I would request that you approve the variances as requested today. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Please sign in with the clerk's office right here. Thank you. Any other proponents who wish to speak in support of this item? Are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in opposition to this item? All right. Development Services and amended recommendations or comments? All right, thank you. And does the applicant have any further? You have time for a bit more summation.
Thank you. Just a quick summation. I do want to point out that we had supporting neighbor letters that have been submitted to the clerk for the record. And since we have made a request for several variances, you probably would do this already, but we recommend or request that you create an individual order for each one so it's clear for the record.
Ms. Eiserman, did you also submit the presentation? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you submitted the individual support letters in your presentation?
Correct.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, this will close the hearing then on item 20-0496, and I'll go to the next.
My next case is item G2, variance application 21-0040. The applicant is Apostolic Bible Church of Brandon. The request is for a variance to allow 3 equivalent residential connections on the septic tank in the urban service area. Staff findings will be presented by Laura Marley.
Good morning, Laura Marley, Development Services. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow the use of septic tank for the proposed addition of a child care center to an existing church on property zoned ASC 1 that is located in the urban service area. The new development in the urban service area must connect to a publicly owned and operated wastewater system. An exception to the connection requirement for non-residential projects is allowed for applicants submitted prior to January 1st, 2021. The applicant requests a variance to allow the project to be served by the church's existing septic tank instead of connected to public wastewater service. Public utility staff has confirmed the cumulative wastewater intensity of the project is 3 ERCs and connection to public wastewater is not cost feasible. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear from the applicant.
Good morning. I'm Kevin Muneer, 3415 West Palmyra, Tampa, and I'm a city planner and I'm assisting the church. The variance is to permit a continued use of a septic tank within an existing church campus to add a small daycare to a list of existing uses on site. The Open Door Apostolic Church is an existing church on Bell Shoals Road with a sanctuary and Sunday school classes, including a fenced playground for the kids. During the week, the campus is not used except for a couple of church offices. The church would like to use a couple of the existing Sunday school rooms, the existing bathrooms, the existing fenced playground during the week for a small daycare. It's a great accessory use as they do not have to modify anything. They don't have to modify rooms or halls or pathways, entrances in any way. As a matter of fact, our only construction is to upgrade some parking spaces and a new sidewalk to meet current ADA requirements. However, as the church is in the urban service area and because a daycare is considered a new use, normally connection to the county sanitary sewer system is required. However, the county allows property owners to apply for a variance if, one, it can be shown that the estimated daily and weekend generation of all uses, existing and proposed, will not exceed 3 ERUs, equivalent residential units. And two, connection to the existing sanitary sewer system is not cost feasible. We're able to show this because, one, using historic data from past water bills and capping the proposed daycare to 36 students and 4 teachers, we'll be able to show that in a worst-case scenario, the project will be less than 3 ERUs. It should be noted that the campus is on the county's potable water system, so there's no variance regarding potable water is being requested. Second, our civil engineers have estimated that the new sanitary sewer line at the lift station to the existing sanitary sewer system is estimated to cost almost $200,000. I know that the original narrative that we submitted when we originally filed indicated about $100,000. That was the estimate when we filed, and we actually got prices for the lift station and for drilling under Bell Shoals Road to connect. The actual cost of the lift station and such is, and the drilling under Bell Shoals and such is actually closer to $200,000. And these calculations signed and sealed by our engineer are in the file. County utility and county engineering staffs have reviewed our calculations and agree with them. As a final note, the existing septic system was recently inspected and determined to be in fine operating order, and there's plenty of additional capacity to allow this use. Also, the generation rates submitted is actually based on the worst case scenario that can't actually happen because it assumes the church and the Sunday school and the daycare are all operating at the same time, the same day, same time. This is an impossibility as the daycare will operate only during the week, while the church and the Sunday school classes only operate on Sunday. And I have the pastor and other members of the church if you have any questions for them. Thank you.
Thank you. In reviewing the file, I thought I read somewhere that there was a finding that the use would be more than 3 ERUs, but that's not the case. Then.
No, it's not the case. I don't know. I looked through optics last week and
I might be misremembering, but you have submitted data and it's in the file.
It's all in the file. I double checked this morning. It's all in the file.
All right. And I have all of that. Thank you. All right. That's the only question I have for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Please, Mr. Munier, I'll send you to the clerk's office. Thank you. All right. Are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in support of this item? Okay. Are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in opposition to this item? All right. Don't see any. County Development Services, any amended recommendations or comments?
Just allow me to point out that our utilities review staff has entered something into the record, a comment confirming that the ERCs are 3 ERC and does not exceed it. It was close, so it took some time for the to confirm, but they have confirmed it is 3 ERC and not above.
Okay, thank you. I'll look at that. Anything else from Development Services? I thought I saw pop up on the screen. Nope. Okay, thank you. Any further comments from the applicant?
If you have any questions.
Would you step up to the mic? That's one thing came to mind. I just wanted to confirm, you did say there's no new facilities being constructed. They're just using the existing building that's there.
Exactly. The existing halls, the existing building, existing entrance. We actually was surprised that we had to upgrade our parking lot. Apparently, since the church was built in the last couple of years, the ADA has changed, and so we have to kind of. It's expensive, but it's doable.
And so this variance then is really necessitated because you're adding a use.
That's all it is. We're actually a permissible use under the AS1, so yeah, that's not even, there's no zoning issues whatsoever. It just, they consider it a new use. And even though we're technically a residential support use, they considered us a and so, yeah, we had to go through this process.
All right.
But yeah, zero changes to the structure whatsoever.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have for you.
Thank you.
All right, that will close the hearing then on item 21-0040. And the next item.
The next case is item G3, variance application 21-0185. The applicant is Emmanuel Bias. Request is a variance to accessory dwelling requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Steve Beachy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we'll hear from Development Services first. So stand by just a moment, applicant, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning. This is Steve Beachy with Development Services. The applicant is requesting 2 variances to accommodate an existing accessory dwelling that encroaches into the required setbacks on a property zoned RSC 6. Per Land Development Code Section 61102E, accessory dwellings shall meet principal building setbacks. The required rear yard setback for a parcel zoned RSC 6 is 25 feet. The applicant requests a 21.5-foot reduction of the required rear yard setback to allow a setback of 3.5 feet as measured to the roof overhang. The second variance is for a required side yard setback for a parcel zoned RSC 6 is 7.5 feet, and the applicant requests a 7.4-foot reduction of the required side yard setback on the south side of the lot to allow a setback of 0.1 feet as measured to the roof overhang. The applicant is subject to a code compliance case for construction of an accessory dwelling without permits. If the variance is approved, the applicant will be required to obtain an after-the-fact building permit, and bring the accessory dwelling into compliance with the requirements of the Land Development Code, which include provisions of a full kitchen and bathroom in the accessory dwelling. Also, the utility easement shown on the survey was vacated by the Board of County Commissioners on July 21, 2020, per resolution in the case record. The requested variances exceed the setback shown on the survey for the accessory dwelling by 1 foot to accommodate for the roof overhang. And finally, the applicant states that the metal shed shown on the survey has been replaced with a wood structure and will adhere to Land Development Code requirements for setbacks. That concludes my comments.
All right, thank you. We'll hear from the applicant, please.
Good morning, all. My name is Emmanuel Bias, and my address is 14907 Fillmore Road, Tampa, Florida, 33613. I'm requesting a variance after I got a notice from the county. This structure, it's like a mother-in-law suite. It's been there for a few years. And I didn't know much about permits and anything like that, because this is my first house that I ever got. And the main reason I built that is because my mom and my dad are the one that live there. I have 3 kids. They're the one, I'm a single parent of 3 kids. So they're the one that help me with my kids. I never had any issues in the neighborhood. Nobody ever say anything to me. I talked to, everybody obviously know what's going on in my neighborhood because of it's been doing this process for probably 1.5 years, 2 years. And some people have reached out to me and, they have expressed to me that they don't have any inconvenience because we wouldn't bother anybody. And I got a letter of support of my east neighbor, my neighbor next door, which he will be the one that I'm assuming it will be an issue for him in case of if there's any issue. I would like you guys to please consider for me not having the mother-in-law suite in there and having my parents helping me with my kids, it can even affect me to have custody of my kids. And I'm willing to work with the county, like I've been doing it, to comply with whatever requirement they may have or any petition that they may have for me.
Can you tell me when the structure was built?
Well, I started like around late 2000 or I would say at the end of the summer 2015. It takes a little bit to build it because I didn't have money to do it. So it took around, I would say late 2015.
And who built the structure?
Well, it was between my dad and some friends from church that I used to go. They technically collaborate with, building the structure. People that apparently they knew what they were doing. I'm gonna be completely honest. If I would know, because I would do this right from the beginning. I was just naive and listening to, oh yeah, you can do this and this and that. I was going through some issues with my kids and all of that situation. And I just, I didn't even think about no permit. I didn't know. I never owned any property before I owned this house.
Is there a kitchen and bathroom in the structure now?
There's a bathroom, and I can say that there's a kitchen, but it doesn't have a stove, like a full stove. It has a sink and running water and a counter. A little oven, the one that goes on like above the counter, and a microwave.
And so there's electricity and plumbing to the structure.
Yes, ma'am.
And no one informed you would need county permits to do that work?
Well, I was doing it, no, at the time. After the fact, then yeah, after everything was done, then people say that, or technically they advised me that this was coming, but that was like after the fact, everything was built.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
The only thing that I could say that, I appealed to the commissioners to consider this case. I don't think I'm special. My case is not special more than anybody else, but to me it is because it can affect, my kids and my parents. They have nowhere to go. Fortunately, because 3 kids, it's not a big house. I cannot bring them into the house, and that will, like I said, that will probably affect me. I'm sure it will affect me having custody of my kids.
All right. I don't have any further questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, signing of the clerk. Are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in support of this item? All right, are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in opposition to this item? All right, will Development Services have any further recommendations or comments? All right, thank you. Applicant, do you have any additional comments you want to make?
No.
Okay. All right, that's it, or I'll come back to the microphone.
No, that was it. Besides submitting the support letter from my neighbor, that will be it.
Okay, please do submit that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, that closes item 21-0185, and we'll go to the next item.
Our next case is item G4, variance application 21-0187. The applicant is Frederick and Crystal Blvd. They're requesting variance to accommodate a proposed two-lot subdivision. Staff findings will be presented by Kevin DeFrank.
Good morning, everyone. Kevin DeFrank with Development Services. Can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you. Yes, we can see you. Thank you.
Awesome. So for this case, the applicant is requesting a variance to accommodate a proposed two-lot subdivision of property zone ASC1 within the urban service area. And per the Land Development Code, a single flag lot to serve a single dwelling unit may be created in a certified parcel subdivision as long as the subdivision is located within the rural service area and an agricultural zoning district. And specifically, the applicant requests a variance to allow the creation of a flag lot within the urban service area. And in our findings, the applicant proposes both lots in the subject subdivision will be served by private wells and septic tanks. And utilities review staff reports that the closest point of connection for public water service is approximately 1,200 feet to the east of the subject property, while the closest point of connection for public wastewater service is approximately 1,700 feet to the northeast. And therefore, connection to public water and wastewater services is not feasible. And the subject variance application was submitted on December 10th, 2020. And both proposed lots will exceed the minimum lot width of 150 feet and a minimum lot size of 1 acre, which is required in the ASC1 zoning district. And the proposed flagpole will exceed the minimum width of 20 feet that is required to serve one lot. That concludes my comments, and I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you. We'll hear from the applicant, please. Good morning, my name is Crystal Blvd, and I live at 10902 Dixon Drive, Riverview, Florida 33579. I was not able to get these to submit, but I did bring letters of support from my neighbors to submit, supporting us for the flag lot. Okay, you can submit them today. Sorry, bear with me. Take your time. I think it was last year, my husband and I had rezoned our property to 1 house per acre so that my son could build a home behind us. We're keeping 1 acre, giving him the remaining for whatever the balance of the acreage is. So the flag lot is proposed to be created on our property. It's within the urban service area. It's to allow the development of a second single family home, which would be directly behind our home. We currently, it happened to be there, we have the driveway is already in place. So that does not have to be created. He will already have his own drive. That would be the flag lot. And there is a privacy fence on that side and then a fence that would be to our yard. My neighbors all support this. And if you look, I did not bring this, but if you look, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other flag lots near our property that have already been established. And again, our neighbors are fine with this. They have no problem. One of the reasons that my son is building behind us is because my husband has Alzheimer's. He falls a lot. My son is a paramedic, and it kind of alleviates the need to call the county paramedics all the time to say, can you come help us getting up? So in addition to seeing my granddaughter being raised behind us, which we're excited about, the next step, approval upon this, the next step would be to build a home back there for him. And talking to the county, the best way to do this was to go ahead and apply for a variance for the I don't see that it would deprive any of the other people on our street any rights that are already commonly enjoyed by others. And it should not interfere or injure the rights of other properties along Dixon Drive. And it would be from what I don't know the actual land use, but it would be in harmony with the access that's provided to the subject property with no significant adverse physical effects to adjacent surroundings. So that's all I have to say. Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions for you right now. Okay, please see the clerk to sign in. Thank you. All right, are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in support of this request?
Yes, good morning. My name's Seven Castillo. I live at 12022 Colonial States Lane, in Florida, 33569. I just wanted to say thank you for having us here, and that if this does get approved and we're able to build this house, she stated it will help ease the burden of my stepfather's disabilities. And being a first responder, it also helped with childcare, with being able to keep my daughter there, and with our schedule being different. It would also help keep us local in the county. And that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Any other proponents for this item? All right, are there any persons online or here who wish to speak in opposition to this item? Okay, don't see any. Development Services, do you have any further recommendations or comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. Applicant, do you have anything further? None? Okay. All right, that will close item 21-0187.
This was item G following the variance application 21-0202. The applicant is Eric Jones. He is requesting a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be presented by Steve Vici.
Good morning, Steve Vici, Development Services. Excuse me for a second. I got some technical difficulties. The applicant is requesting a variance to accommodate an existing single-family home and proposed addition on a lot zoned RSC 6 per Land Development Code Section 60103G. The yard on the east side of the subject lot constitutes a special yard, which is subject to the rear setback requirements of the property zoning. Per Land Development Code Section 60101, the required minimum rear yard setback in the RSC 6 district is 25 feet. The applicant requests a 16-foot reduction to the required special yard setback to allow a setback of 9 feet from the east lot line. Concerning findings, during the review of the subject request, staff determined that the enclosed pool encroaches into the required 3-foot setback on the side of the lot, on the east side of the lot. The applicant has declined to add a variance request for the pool encroachment. In addition, the existing home currently encroaches approximately 10 feet into the required 25-foot setback for the special yard on the east side of the lot. That concludes my comments. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear from the applicant.
Good morning. My name is Eric Jones. I live at 10912 Winter Oak Place, Tampa, Florida, 33618.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I really didn't expect that I was gonna have to make a presentation, so I apologize. No PowerPoint. So the way the lot is, the county has decided I have two rear yards. So when you pull up to the side of the house, there's a large expanse. So I don't know if the county had a different opinion in 1980, but as discussed, my home encroaches on this rear setback already. We really have no other space on the lot to expand our home. And with everybody e-learning, we could use more space. There's 5 of us. None of my neighbors have expressed concern. I've submitted email letters from everyone I could get, not objecting to the variance request. And the 2 lots that will be adjacent to the proposed addition already have privacy fences. And I have nothing further.
Just a second. Mr. Jones, thank you. So to get a variance, you have to show some hardship. You have submitted a hardship criteria response, so I have your written responses there. Can you talk a little bit more about what is unique about your property, your lot, that requires this variance?
Well, as I said, I think it's somewhat of a hardship to consider both sides of my house to have a rear yard. If you look at the way the lot was drawn, the side lot comes up and then a line goes across. I would argue that that line should be considered a second sideline, not a second rear line. So really the hardship just comes down to the way the county is interpreting the platting now.
All right, and it appears looking at the aerial that some of your neighbors have the same situation. In your plat, there's similar lots.
I don't have the.
You're not aware of them? Okay.
Well, if you can put it on the screen, I'd be happy to.
I don't have that ability, but just looking at the plat for your community. So, all right, anything further that you want?
Ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you. Please, I'll see the clerk here to sign in. Are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in support of this item? All right, are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in opposition to this item? All right, don't see anyone coming up. All right, development services, do you have anything additional to add?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Applicant has 5 minutes for rebuttal or summation. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Mr. Jones? No, okay, thank you. All right, that closes the hearing on item 21-0202.
All right, next case is item G6, variance application 21-0238. The applicant is Yavuz Keemer. Request is a variance to the fence standards. Staff findings will be presented by Isis Brown.
Good morning, Brown, Development Services. Presenting variance 21-0238. The applicant is requesting a variance to increase the maximum height permitted for a proposed fence on a corner lot zoned ASC1. Per LEC section 6.07.02 C2, fences in agricultural districts shall be permitted in the same manner as fences in residential districts, except under certain circumstances that do not apply in this case. Per LC section 6.07.02 C1A, fences over 4 feet in height shall not be allowed within required front yards except under certain circumstances that do not apply in this case. The applicant's request a 2 feet increase to the permitted height to allow a 6 feet for a proposed fence in the required front yard on the south side of the subject parcel. In our findings, as proposed by the applicant, the subject fence will be connected to the southeast corner of the single-family dwelling on the lot to an existing community masonry wall running along the south and west side of the parcel. Per the survey submitted by the applicant, the community wall is located within a utility and buffer easement on the property. The applicant has been advised that the proposed fence cannot encroach into the easement unless the easement has been vacated. That ends my comments, and I am available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear from the applicant.
Hi, everybody. My name is Yavuz Kemer. My address is 2502 Derby Glen Drive, LUT 33559, and the house was built in 2015. I applied to HOA for, I think the reception is bad here. Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I applied to install a fence around my house for 6 foot, and it was approved by HOA. However, fence company came back with an answer, said we have to go through county in order to install that small amount, like almost 20 feet distance from my west corner of my house to mason wall, which is 6 foot as well. So to connect from that point to the mason wall, I need a special approval from your department. And again, I have a recommendation letter of support from my neighbor across the street, and I have almost 27 people. They signed a petition for that. Board President Justin came to my house, to my property, reviewed it, and he helped me to avoid any potential mistakes. HOA approved. I have an approval of HOA letter. In addition to that, I would like to mention about that we live on a private property. It's a private road. There are no public roads, and my fence will not be visible from the private roads on our properties. There are a couple of properties in the same HOA. They have 6-mile fence that passing across their in front of their house. One of them is 2404 Green Meadow. I'm sorry, that's another side. That one is 8 foot actually. It's an extension of Derby Glen Drive. They have an 8 foot fence, and the second one is 17117 Gillard Court. They have 6 foot fence installed in front of their house. And the third one is on Livingston Avenue. That's also, the picture is available. And that's a concrete 6 foot fence installed. With all that being said, I would like to highlight the security and privacy issues and concerns. One of the letters I received from HOA, they sent a couple since 2018. Going through saying that there has been suspicious people and activity seen in the neighborhood over the past month. So people are actually passing through my property. Although it's a private property, and I would like to put this versus 6 foot would be really good to meet my need. I have 3 little kids, and we have a border collie for my kids' request. So I would like to be able to let my kids play in the backyard without worrying about it. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer. Like I said, I have my letter of support from my neighbor and petition signed by 27 people. I would like to highlight this. We live on a private property. It's a private HOA, private road. There are no public roads. Hence, will not be visible from private roads nor other properties. And the mason wall is a concrete wall, 6 foot. In the middle, it's 8 foot. They give that static look. When I was to bring the fence from a west corner of my house diagonally to meet the 6 foot masonry wall, it will look static appearance. So as far as I know, 4 foot fence is allowed by city standards to attachment to the masonry wall, has already been approved. So in conclusion, HOA approved for my 6 foot fence. Then I keep hearing my voice echoing, and it's kind of distracting me to concentrate and focus on. I keep hearing my own voice.
Mr. Hamer, could you describe for me if there are any unique situations with your particular property, the shape of it or the location of it, or something that's unique about your property that requires this variance that causes a hardship? I understand the safety concerns, but is there anything particular to your property?
It's a unique shape, like you said. Actually, the wall is in my property, actually, and between that wall we're talking about, west corner of the house, and the mason wall is just 20 foot. It's a small gate. If I was to cover it, I would be benefiting the wall as well. And I'm the first house. When you enter into the HOA, in our association, I'm the first one on the left. So I understand in the back there's a water conservation area, which I'm not touching it at all. I'm complied with it, and I'm following rules and regulations for that. However, this condition, I would really appreciate if it can be permittable to build a 6 foot fence. For me, that will look aesthetic and avoid any safety issues. And then again, that wall is in my property.
Okay, thank you. I have your survey. I can see that wall on your survey. All right, is that it?
Yeah. As you can see, I made a red line on it. I don't know how to find it. Sorry. Here we go. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's reviewed by my board president of the board, HOA board, and he helped me, and I explained to him, and there are pictures of my properties as well. I added to the file. If you can follow up with me those pictures, please.
Okay, I do see the pictures in the file, and I do see the survey with your red line drawn on it.
Yeah, when you compare that survey and a picture of the house, that explains clearly. That's a kind of, I have a septic tank as well. And the fence outlet, the tech came over. He told me this is also beneficial for my septic drainage route. Otherwise, he said he might accidentally penetrate into my septic drainage system. I don't know if you can see my septic tank in the front of the house. We're kind of jumping over a long fence frame, not to put any pollen in between. So that being said, we'll pay attention on the septic drainage. That drainage system is on the west side of my house.
Okay. Anything further? Is that it?
I think I with the echo, I recovered everything, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this request? Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this request?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to support Mr. Kemmer's request.
Okay, I need you to speak up and please give us your name and address.
My name is August Pekin. I'm the next door neighborhood to Mr. Kemmer.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. I don't think we have a very good connection. Can we get him a little bit louder? Okay, we're trying to get you a little bit louder.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you. Are you here to speak in opposition to this request?
No, I am actually in favor of this request. I am his neighbor, and I face the same challenges with security, and I also agree that this is a private property with private roads. Nothing bothers the public view even if the 6-foot fence is approved. My address is 2501 Derby Glen Drive, Lutz, Florida 33559.
Can we get that? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in, that was in support. Anyone wish to speak in opposition to this request? Not hearing anyone, not seeing anyone. All right, County Development Services, any amended recommendations or comments? Okay. All right.
Yeah, no additional comment.
All right, thank you. And applicant, if you're still on the line, did you have anything additional? You have 5 minutes for rebuttal or summation. All right, not hearing anyone, that will close the hearing on 21-0238.
Variance today is item G7, application 21-02.
I may leave. I'm sorry, I apologize. May I leave the meeting?
If you have no further comments, yes, we're closing the hearing on your item.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, final variance today is item G7, application 21-0249. The applicant is Nelson Diaz. They're requesting a variance to accessory dwelling requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Laura Marley.
Good morning, Laura Marley, Development Services. The applicant requests setback variances to convert an existing garage into an accessory dwelling. Accessory dwellings are required to meet principal building setbacks. A minimum side yard setback of 7.5 feet and a minimum rear yard setback of 25 feet are required. The applicant requests 2.5 foot reduction to the required side yard setback to allow for a 5-foot setback from the south property line and a 19.2 foot reduction to the required rear setback to allow for a 5.8 foot setback from the west property line. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear from the applicant.
Hello, good morning. Nelson Diaz. My house address is 912 North Parsons Avenue, Palm. Zip code is 33510, Downland, Florida. I'm applying for a home apartment. This is Andrea for this. This is the garage that was made in my house before I bought the house. The building was made already, I think it was made in 1988, if I'm not wrong. I I want to do the renovation in the inside. The building is there already. I'm doing this because I'm from Cuba and I'm doing my paperwork to become a citizen. Once that happens, I want to bring my parents here. I'm the only son, so I want to take care of them. I have no the resources to pay an apartment for them, because the age. One day I need to take care of them, so I think this is the best option that I have to have my parents close to me and to be able to take care of them. So I don't know what else to say. If you have any question for me,
Mr. Diaz, this, oh my God, it's okay. This, so you own this property.
yes,
And when you bought the property, the structure that you're converting was already there.
it was already there.
And, do you know when the house was built?
I'm not exactly I haven't exactly the year, but I think it was in 1963 the house, but the garage I think was made after that. If I'm not wrong, if I remember right, it was made the garage in 1988. It was made after the house.
All right, is that something that the prior owner told you or something?
I think it's on the survey of the house. I applied already on the development department. So once I applied, this is one of the requirements that they asked me to fix on all the paperwork that I sent to them. So I think that was there. You know, the garage was made before I bought the house. I bought the house in October 19.
Okay. Then, what is in the structure now, this existing garage, what is there?
Well, we did some, we changed the windows, we did some work on the floor. That's it, because we use that as we go there, well, not with the cover, but we used to go there to do the, our party with our friends. We have our adults in Cuba, so we go there very often to pray. But that's it. We don't have too many, because I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to be ahead once my party comes to have everything in for them, because I don't have a space. I have 3 bedrooms. My mother-in-law will live with us. We have a baby, and my parents, they are an old couple, so I know that they have been already living since I left Cuba by themselves. So I know that they're gonna be close to me, but have their own space. So I'm trying to be ahead to that.
Tell me a little more about this structure though. Does it have electricity, plumbing? Does it have?
That's electricity. It has electricity already done. Some kind of electricity done. Some plumbing done too. Because when I bought the house, it was done. So we did some work on the building. And we changed the windows, we changed the floor. It looks nice now in the inside. And we did some work already. And we put some cabinets, things like that. Okay. If that is a question.
Okay. I guess I have a question for development services. Would the structure have been allowed there as a garage without a setback variance, or is it because of a change of use that we're requiring the variance?
It's the change of use, because the setback requirements for an accessory structure, which would include a garage by itself, are different than the setback requirements for an accessory dwelling. In this case, a setback, assuming the garage was less than 15 feet in height, a setback of 3 feet would have been permitted, but accessory dwellings must meet principal building setback. And that's what's driving the setback variance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hisney. All right, do you have anything else to add, Mr. Diaz?
Okay. Only the So I don't know, maybe I don't know how to, I will have to explain because I don't experience this, some words are difficult to me because English is my second language, so sorry if I didn't explain, like, maybe, answer any questions, maybe you guys may respect it, but I just only want to say that I really respect his works to me because, like the person said before, I'm not special, and every case is important for every person that is here, but this means a lot to my family. This means a lot to us.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Is anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this request? Seeing none, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this request? Okay, seeing none. Development Services have anything to add?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
If I could have the applicant come back to the podium, please. That you signed in, yes, take your time, sign it. Okay, sir. Just want to let you know, if this variance is approved, you're going to have to get building permits to convert the garage into a dwelling. And then also the dwelling is going to have to be required to have a full kitchen, which means a sink, a stove, and a refrigerator, and it also must have a full bathroom, which are toilet and bathing facilities. I just want you to understand that and knowledge on the record that you are aware.
Yes, sir. I'm open to work with development and anything that I have to do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anything further? I guess that's from Development Services. Anything further? And applicant, did you have anything further you wanted to add on the record other than that? Okay, thank you. All right, that closes the hearing for item 21-0249.
All right, well, then that takes us to section H of our agenda, which are special uses, and we have two of those. First one is item H1, application number 20-0219. The applicant is APC Towers 3. They're requesting a special use for a wireless communication facility. Staff report and recommendation will be presented by Colleen Marshall following the applicant's presentation.
Good morning, I'm Antonia John, 935 Main Street, Suite D1, Safety Harbor, Florida 34695. Just a procedural question before we get underway. My witness and I were both in the parking lot when you administered the oath. Does that count, or do you need us to take the oath again?
Well, just to be on the safe side, since you've asked on the record, we'll administer the oath.
Okay, Mr. McNichol, would you please come step up here with me?
Just raise your hand right where you are. That's fine.
Apologies.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Good morning. I'm Antonia John on behalf of APC Towers 3 and T-Mobile, 935 Main Street, Suite D1, Safety Harbor, Florida 34695. I also have James McNichol, site acquisition agent and project manager from APC, here with me should you have any questions regarding the project's development or siting. He has also taken an oath. I come before you today with staff recommendation of approval for a 155-foot tall monopole style communication tower and support facility to be located in the southwest corner of the shopping plaza at 5513 South 78th Street. The parcel is zoned CG as a future land use designation of R6. I am now showing the zoning map, showing the CG zoning. And then here is the R6 future land use designation. When I'm referring to a monopole style communication, I'm sorry, the monopole is allowable on this parcel, subject to special use review. APC exceeds all the required separations and development standards, except that they are requesting a camouflage waiver in this instance due to the presence of high voltage power lines to the west. When I say a monopole style communication tower, I'm referring to a tower that looks like this example.
John, there's all these photos and graphics already in the optics file that were part of your submittal.
They are not. I provided this PowerPoint presentation today and I will submit it to the clerk electronically.
Well, you need to be able to submit it today, which means you either leave your thumb drive or you have to have a paper copy. But my understanding is you have to submit it today at the hearing.
Absolutely. I have a thumb drive with me.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So when I'm referring to a monopole style communication tower, this is an example of one. I'm referring to a tower that has a dull gray support pole with no guy wires or ironworks extending out from it. There are antennas mounted at the top on an external head frame. Your code presumes that flagpole, bell tower, clock tower, and tree type camouflages are compatible in CG zoning. We do respectfully submit that those would be inappropriate in this particular instance because a bell tower, clock tower, and tree type camouflages would add bulk to the tower and would make it out of place with the built environment with the high voltage power lines immediately to the west, which are slightly taller than the tower. A flagpole would be technically unfeasible because it would require the antennas to be located inside the tower itself, and that space is too small for the modern antennas that T-Mobile uses. They also require airflow for cooling, and that's not possible in a confined space. The goal is for the small pole to simply look like an additional utility structure along the line. I'm now showing aerials of the parent parcel. In both the maps that I show, up is north. The green marker is the monopole. On this map, you can see a yellow line running through the center. I don't know if you can see my map or you can see my mouse. If not, I apologize. The yellow line running through the center is 79th Street. The yellow line running east, west, and curving is Progress Boulevard. It becomes Madison Avenue on the west side of 79th Street, which is the left side of that map. This is a closer view. And again, now you can see that the monopole is located in the southwest portion of the property. It's behind the plaza, as far away as you can get from residential. You can also see that as you extend down into the residential area, there are mature trees that help break up the view sheds. The monopole, as I said, it's in the southwest portion. It's behind the plaza. Oak trees exist throughout the area. To the north of the plaza, Progress Boulevard, additional commercial uses, and then residential north of 52nd Avenue. I can back up if you'd like to see that. To the south are the stormwater structure. You can see that as the light green area immediately south of the monopole. Then dense vegetation in the Johnson Community Center. To the east are the plaza, 78th Street, and then mature tree line, and then you reach the single-family residential. To the west are high voltage trunk lines going into Tampa, and then Mosaic on land. I'm now showing you sheet C1. This is annual record in the plan set. The code requires 100% tower height separation from the residential to the east. Monopole exceeds the code, all code required setbacks. To the east, we provide 342 feet to that eastern property line. That's not including the additional 115 feet of right-of-way for 78th Street. It is approximately 480 feet to the nearest house. Again, your code requires only 1 times tower height from the property line that we are on. Monopole additionally provides 649 feet to the northern property line. This monopole employs fall zone technology. That's the circle that you see on that map there. And in the unlikely event of a structural failure, the monopole would not fall over. Instead, it would bend upon itself at a pre-engineered crimp point and fold in half. I'm now showing you sheet C2. This is the compound. The equipment area will be inside a fence with a locked gate. And this will be provisioned for 2 users. You can see the spaces available on the eastern side, and T-Mobile's equipment is on the left or western side. Up is north again. Oops, my apologies.
Okay.
Now I'm showing you the elevation sheet. This is again what is proposed monopole style tower. This will be designed to co-locate up to 2 users. T-Mobile will be the top user because they are the anchor tenant. They're the ones who need the site. And then the space below will be made available at market rates. APC has provided an affidavit in the record that they will make it available. And they will record that prior to building permit. I'm now going to run through the photo simulations that are on file. We'll proceed counterclockwise from the northwest. All right, and this is the map showing the sun locations. And this is all in your file. To the northwest is 52nd and Madison. You can see at this distance, the monopole is viewed as shorter than the towers. The power towers that are immediately to the right. You can also see that the vegetation along Madison Avenue is able to buffer half the monopole at this distance. This is the view from 52nd Avenue north of the commercial zoning that's on the north side of Progress Madison. And you can see at this distance, the bottom portion of the monopole is obscured from view, is buffered from view by the existing development. And you can also see that trees in the foreground are more than capable of fully buffering the monopole. This is view C. This is the most visible view of the monopole. And you can see here the design where it's intended to look like an additional utility structure in the view shed, and also scales with structures that are in the foreground. This is view C. This is the view from 79th Street in Crofton. And you can see at this distance, the trees along 79th Street are able to buffer the bottom 3/4 of the monopole. That trees in the foreground, such as that tree on the left-hand side, are able to fully buffer the monopole. And then at this distance, the monopole scales down to the height of objects in the view shed, such as those overhead lines. This is the view from Flower Street at the Johnson Community Center. And you can see at the bottom, third to half of the monopole is buffered by the vegetation in the background. And then this is the view from the ball fields at the end of Flower. And you can see at this distance that the monopole, the base is buffered by the vegetation in the far distance, but the size and scale of it scales down to objects in the view shed, such as the sports field lights. Now to just very quickly run through T-Mobile's RF need. This is a map showing T-Mobile's coverage in the area as it currently stands. Up is north on this map. Green areas are reliable coverage. Yellow areas are unreliable coverage. Red markers, you can see 4 across this top north of Progress Boulevard are existing T-Mobile co-locations. And then you can see 1 to the south down near Riverview Road. That is the black line that's running across the bottom of this map. The blue marker is the monopole. So T-Mobile is co-located to the north and the south of Progress Village. This monopole is designed to fill in the coverage gap that is in the Progress Village area. And then here is the after coverage. Moving on to community outreach, notice went out in accordance with your land development code. And once the notice went out, the Progress Village Civic Council requested a presentation. I gave that on February 16th, 2021. Some questions and concerns came up. One of them was proximity to residential. The other one was the design of the tower. One person asked if we could put some type of a tree design out there. And that would be technically feasible if you would like to see that. However, the goal is to make this blend with the utility structures in the area. And the last one was RF safety. I discussed and followed up on the following basis. This does exceed your code required separation. And again, the goal is to try to fit with the utility structures along the area. I also sent links to the FCC and FDA websites, as well as the World Health Organization and the National Cancer Institute. Finally, I would remind you, and I can provide a copy for the record, the Telecom Act of 1996 does prohibit local jurisdictions from making zoning decisions on communication towers based upon the RF emissions of those facilities. Finally, just to run through some housekeeping, notice went out on the 22nd of January. You have the affidavit on file. Co-location offer letters are on file. APC has received its FAA and HCAA approvals for this tower. It will be completely dark at night. Your county expert has reviewed this application and concurs that the monopole is necessary. And finally, and then I would like to touch on safety aspect of the small pole. These are 911 call statistics for 2018. And in 2018, over 84% of all 911 calls received by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office came from wireless phones. And that just shows that reliable wireless coverage, in addition to being part of our everyday commerce, it's not a luxury, it is a necessity on all levels. Just to quickly breeze through the special use factors, history of the park, you have a full explanation of this in my narrative, but history of the parcel, this parcel was historically used as a commercial shopping plaza. Regulations and development standards, we exceed all of your development standards except for the camouflage waiver. Goals, objectives, and policies, the comprehensive plan. I respectfully submit that the tower code is the expression of the comprehensive plan or implementation of the comprehensive plan for communication towers in Hillsborough County. And again, we meet those requirements except for the camouflage waiver, which is contemplated to just help it blend with the utility structures in the area. Reports and recommendations you will see in the file. The staff recommends approval. Physical characteristics, you heard that this parcel is characterized by intense commercial use, the shopping plaza. You heard the high voltage power lines, trunk lines from TECO to the west exist. To the north and south are non-residential units, as we just went through. And to the east, there are residential units, but we exceed the separation and we have intervening trees. Impact on surrounding transportation networks, the monopole is unstaffed, so it would generate one trip per carrier per month. Availability of public services, the monopole will only require electricity and telco, so it will not require it will not impact public services. Nature and impact of the surrounding land uses, I'm going to refer you back to the use pattern of this area. Again, with the plaza being commercial, we have non-residential to the north and south. And where we do have residential, we exceed and have that native vegetation. Finally, environmental impact. This property is proposed on a disturbed parcel as developed for commercial uses. We respectfully submit there will be no environmental impact. So to conclude, with that, APC respectfully requests that the LUHO issue an order approving the monopole as depicted in the application and recommended in the staff report with all of their proposed conditions of approval. That concludes my presentation. I reserve any remaining time for rebuttal. And again, Mr. McNichol is available should you have any questions about the siding, and I am available for questions as well. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, we'll hear from Development Services next, please.
Colleen Marshall, Development Services. The request today is for a special use permit for a proposed wireless communication facility with a 155-foot high antenna tower at 5513 South 78th Street. The proposed facility's tower will be located 649 feet from the north boundary of the host parcel, 342 feet from the east boundary, 166 feet from the south boundary, and 91 feet from the west boundary. These setbacks comply with all requirements. The proposed tower will be over 400 feet from the closest dwelling, which is located to the east of the subject property across South 78th Street and is not adjacent to the proposed tower location. The applicant's requesting a waiver to the camouflaging requirement to allow a monopole tower with external antennas. This waiver request requires a special use approval by the LUHO. The applicant has provided justification for the waiver request as outlined in my staff report. Staff agrees with the applicant's justifications for the camouflage waiver. The applicant has submitted documentation indicating the need for the facility at a height of 155 feet for the desired coverage area and capacity needs, and that no other existing facilities are available for co-location. Pursuant to LDC section 61129E, an outside expert has reviewed the support material submitted by the applicant. The consultant indicated in their report that there are no viable tower structures, public structures, or other appropriate support structures in the area that would allow T-Mobile to co-locate and meet the needs of its network in this area. The consultant also reviewed and analyzed the report and coverage maps provided by T-Mobile's RF engineer and is in agreement with their findings. Per LEC Section 611-29G, a letter of intent committing the antenna tower to shared use for co-location has been submitted. Notice to other potential users was sent on November 14, 2019. No objections have been received by staff from reviewing agencies. No transportation impacts are anticipated of the proposed tower. Staff recommends approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Next we'll hear from Planning Commission.
Good afternoon. Will Augustine, Planning Commission. The proposed special use for a telecommunications tower is an allowable use and is consistent with the residential 6 future land use classification. The intent of the residential 6 future land use classification is for residential, suburban scale neighborhood commercial, office uses, multi-purpose projects, and mixed-use development. Non-residential uses shall meet established locational criteria for specific land use. The cell tower will be placed within the southwestern portion of the site at the rear of the strip center. South of the site is the Progress Village Sports Complex. Single-family residential is located on the east side of 78th Street. The applicant is meeting all setback and buffering requirements as per the Land Use Development Code, consistent with policy 9.2 of the future land use element. The applicant is requesting a waiver to camouflaging. In this instance, the monopole design would complement the commercial character of the area and is therefore consistent with Objective 16, Policy 16.1, 16.2, and 16.3 of the future land use element. Overall, the proposed special use would allow for development that is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the future of Hillsborough Comprehensive Plan for unincorporated Hillsborough County, and that it is compatible with existing and planned development pattern found in the surrounding area. Based on the above recommendation, the Planning Commission staff finds the proposed special use consistent with the future of Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan for unincorporated Hillsborough County. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone here today who wishes to speak in support of this item, either here or online? Okay. All right, we'll go to opponents. Is there anyone here today or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this item?
Good morning, madam. Good morning, sir. How are you all doing this morning?
Thank you.
My name is Michelle Sanders. My address 205 Orange Mill Avenue, Ruskin, Florida. I come up here with this shirt straight out of Progress Village because I am a proud member of the Progress Village community. I grew up in the community. My father was stationed here. He was in the Air Force and was stationed in Tampa, Florida at MacDill Air Force Base. He came here, William Sanders, with my mother, Henrietta, and my siblings, Wanda, Larry, Dwayne, and Fred. And so my mom continues to live within the community. I have family and friends that continue to live in the community, and I am also a business owner, so Cafe Events and Entertainment Center within the Progress Village community. So I love the community. This is a shirt that we wear every year when we have our annual cookouts, and members from that community. This is a community that's 60 years old this year because we had courageous, informed, fearless people to come and stand against different things that were happening they're trying to do within our community. And that's why I'm here today. People come from all over every year to come back in and celebrate community, love, and support. So again, I'm here today because I want to speak about the issues relative to T-Mobile erecting a 5G tower within the Progress Village area. As I said before, the Progress Village Panthers organization there at the Larry Sanders Sports Complex, along with the Progress Village Civic Council and the residents of Progress Village, oppose the erection of this 5G tower. In addition, like I said earlier, as far as our opposition, one of the things I wanted to mention, we have strong concerns in opposition of this installation of this 5G tower in Progress Village community area. Hundreds of informed independent researchers, scientists, and physicians feel that the very high frequency utilized by 5G are very likely to cause harm to the public and all biological beings. This includes cancer. I do not want this, nor do the residents of Progress Village, nor our community, our commissioner want this in our particular neighborhood. We dealt with something years ago as far as the gypsum pile coming into our community and being installed there. And it seems that Progress Village has become a dumping ground for certain things, and we're here to oppose that. One of the things, the young lady that was on the call, again, we have concerns relative to the notifications and how the notifications went out, and how many people receive the notifications, so we can get ahead of this and figure out what we can do to stop it. So we want to stop the 5G tower from being erected in our community. As the young lady was presenting some of the notes that I did take there regarding the specific location, the location, even though stated it would be far away from the residential area, I'm in the area, I'm in the community. It's a stone's throw away. It's a walk from here to the opposite side of this building. And everybody here, because of COVID, have on these masks so we can make sure we protect ourselves. So I'm not sure that this, from this distance to the top to the bottom, is far away. But the fact of the concerns as far as the emission of radiation and the things that are unknown relative to 5G tower and what it can cause for us, our biological bodies, we want to make sure that we have the community there for generations to come, and that we don't endure these effects of this 5G tower in the space. It will be erected right behind the village marketplace, which is, so camouflage or not, trees or not, trying to make it pretty or not. The fact is, it is right by our facility, Larry Sanders Sports Complex, where we have the Progress Village Panthers football team and the baseball team there, soccer and lacrosse in that particular area. So our children are playing in this area, and we do not want to have a 5G tower erected that will impact our children and our generations to come, period. And so that's why I'm here in opposition, and I ask that you guys consider as we want to stop the 5G tower from being implemented. Some of the things we talked about as well is the consideration, what other areas was considered. The young lady mentioned about the 911 call, and put the stats on there about 911 call, but where the stats showed that people in Progress Village could not call 911 because there was not a T-Mobile 5G tower there? I don't think so. We still have family members. My mom is 85 years old that have landlines. So we can call through the landline, or we can call through other wireless communication companies that has not erected a 5G tower. And I also would like to state that there's other considerations. We know that there's an exchange as far as finances here. So the owners of that particular property does not live in the community. So to us, that's a period of not caring relative to the impact that it would have. So they're going to get paid, and they're going to get big dollars from leasing this particular property, but yet still it's going to impact us that live there every day. And we want to make sure that we are around. So we're here to fight and to oppose it. And we ask that this does not go through. I heard what the Planning Commission had to say. And of course, there's going to always be, this is within the specific requirements, et cetera. But you're not living in the community. You are not being impacted. So it's easy sometimes to make those decisions. But we're asking you guys to really consider not erecting this tower, that there are other locations that they can triangulate. There are other locations that they can use to erect that tower that is not in our backyard. We do not want the tower in our backyard.
Ma'am, could you just clarify, is the primary concern what you have and that your community has the high frequency, potential high frequency impact?
Any impact that it might be from a physical standpoint of erecting this tower. And I know you're going to have on both sides. There's been studies that said it doesn't or it does. We know with wireless communication, we don't know. Even holding a cell phone right now or the laptops, we all don't know what the impact is going to be, just like we don't know the impact of COVID, right? Until years down the road. So So we understand that there are some concerns. There have been stated concerns. There's been documented concerns regarding the health and the impact of the emission, and the increase of the 5G is even more in that sense that could be deadlier to or impacting our physical bodies and our children, our children's children. And plus, again, we mentioned cancer. Like I said, we've gone through this bout with another situation, and we have now scholarships because of that. The scholarships does not bring back life. Scholarship does not bring back sickness or resolve sickness and disease. And we want to stop this now so we don't have to deal with something in the future.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Please see the clerk here to sign in also. Are there other persons here or online who wish to speak in opposition to this item? Okay. Don't see any development services, any amended recommendations or comments?
Yes, Madam Chair, I ask that the county attorney please comment on consideration of health effects.
County Attorney's Office?
We're not hearing you if you are speaking for the county attorney.
Hi, this is Mary Dorman from the County Attorney's Office. Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, the opponent raised questions about health effects from the town, and I wanted you to address pertinent law concerning that.
Mr. Hisney, this is Cameron Clark. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's a bit garbled. Could you repeat that one more time?
Yes, the opponent speaker raised concerns about health effects posed by the proposed tower, and I wanted you to address relevant law regarding that type of testimony.
Sure. The short answer is that the hearing officer in local government is precluded under state law from taking consideration of those sorts of questions. You're limited to review to the criteria that are laid out in the Land Development Code.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clark. All right, applicant, you have 5 minutes for rebuttal and summation. You actually had 1 minute and 33 seconds left over from your primary testimony as well.
All right, Matt tonight, John again. May I bring Mr. McNichol up? He can speak as to alternates if that would be well received.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. First, I am going to start by placing a copy of the Telecom Act of 1996 into the record. It's at 47 U.S.C. 332. If I have the document camera, there's a couple of things that go on with the Telecom Act. My apologies. So this is the prohibition from receiving, my apologies. This is the prohibition for making determinations based upon the environmental effect of RF emissions. Another thing that kind of was touched on was the idea of not here, not there, not anywhere, go to another part of the county. The Telecom Act also prevents local jurisdictions from prohibiting or effectively prohibiting a wireless carrier from solving a significant gap in their service. You have Verizon's, you have T-Mobile's RF package that they include a statement from their engineer that they have a need in this area. To touch on notifications real quickly, this was actually noticed twice. Once in the summer when we thought we were going to be able to go to hearing, and we were unfortunately pushed out, had to continue due to COVID. So notice has gone out pursuant to your code twice through. I would draw you back to the RF maps, and the idea that this is somehow being dumped on Progress Village, I respectfully submit that just doesn't line up with the facts. This is the coverage in the Progress Village area, and you can see that there's yellow coverage throughout, lacking. What this also doesn't map is capacity of towers serving the area. So unfortunately, I don't have a map to show you that, but you can see that afterwards, this is solving a gap in the Progress Village area. It's a tower meant to serve the area.
Just a quick question. Does this map illustrate only the T-Mobile towers or all cell towers?
These are all towers that T-Mobile is co-located on. I believe they are on all towers in the area, but I don't have that fully. I don't know.
My point was, might there be towers that are not shown on this map?
There's a possibility, however, both T-Mobile and your expert witness have concluded that there are no towers that that T-Mobile could co-locate on.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I want to have Mr. McNichol come up real quickly. Mr. McNichol, state your name and address for the record.
James McNichol.
I'm sorry, closer to the microphone, thank you.
James McNichol, 6119 Bermuda Drive, Fleming Island, Florida.
And what is your occupation?
I am a project manager and site acquisition agent.
And are you familiar with the APC Progress project?
Yes, I am.
And how are you familiar with it?
I've worked on this project since its inception.
So what does a site acquisition agent do in the course of developing a cell tower?
I'm basically given a specific set of guidelines to work with, and I work to find leasable real estate that's suitable from a zoning perspective to build a site.
Okay, when you are doing that, does T-Mobile give you any guidance on where they want the tower to be?
Yes, they do.
And in this case, did T-Mobile give you guidance on where they wanted this tower to be?
Yes, they did indicate that their coverage objective and capacity objective here was the Progress Village community.
Did you look anywhere other than the shopping plaza? Did you geographically look further south of here, such as along 78th Street?
Yes, we did. We looked down to the south of this. We worked on another site down there for a little while that didn't work out.
And as you proceeded south, did T-Mobile give you any guidance on the location?
They did say that we could not go too far south because their objective was Progress Village.
All right. And based on the guidance that T-Mobile gave you, looking at, and I apologize if the map is not up. So this black line that runs on the western side and becomes diagonal is US 41. And I will note that T-Mobile already has a tower on US 41. Would a second tower on US 41 solve T-Mobile's coverage gap? And I'll back up to their current coverage based upon the guidance they gave you.
No, it would definitely, that would have been too far to the west to serve the purpose.
And one more thing, this black line along the bottom is Riverview Drive, and I will draw the bench's attention to the fact that T-Mobile already has a tower on Riverview Drive. Would a second tower on Riverview Drive be able to solve T-Mobile's RF objective? Again, based upon the guidance that they gave you.
Yeah, not for this site. That would have been too far south.
Madam Hearing Officer, do you have any questions for the witness?
I don't. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McNichol. He is a
Mr. McNichol, thank you.
As to the distance, I would remind you that just to the property line, before you account for the additional 115 feet of right of way and separation on the other side, we more than double the required separation under your code. Again, if this was a camouflage design, it would have more bulk on it. It would be presumed compatible under your code. And this design actually gives the facility less bulk than it would have otherwise. You've heard about alternates. As far as the owner being absent, I would respectfully draw you back to your code. Your code looks at the design of this facility and asks you to make a determination based upon the objective factors of it, such as separation, such as providing the required buffering and meeting and being in the appropriate districts. And we meet all that. Again, that waiver is requested to better blend with the built environment. I think, am I out of time? Oh.
Half a minute.
And in labor opposition, I would respectfully submit that under Florida law, while public opinion is one bit of evidence that can be taken in, it should not be given cumulative effect. And again, we would respectfully request that you issue an order granting approval. I'm available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
That will close the hearing on item 20-029.
All right, our final case today is item H2, special use 21-0174. The applicant is Cigars OTB Incorporated. The request is for a 4 COP alcoholic beverage permit for the sale and consumption of beer, wine, and liquor on and off the permitted premises, and which requires a separation waiver. Staff report and recommendation will be presented by Kevin DeFrank following the applicant's presentation. Good afternoon. My name is Terry Haley, and I represent the owners of Cigars OTB. They are wishing to open a neighborhood cigar bar, Cigars on the Boulevard. It's located in Apollo Beach on Apollo Beach Boulevard. The request from the neighborhood gathering place has come up with a couple distance waivers, and we feel as though we have in our evidence and stuff, we have justified them and shown that they do not have a negative impact on the community. So I don't know if you want me to get into those now before staff mentions them or how this is. Okay.
You have 14 minutes left. Just go ahead and describe the waivers you're looking for, please.
Okay. First of all, it is for AB license in the area for existing zonings. In my opinion, it looks as though Apollo Beach might have been neglected in some times or whatever. There seems to be a little bit of a cluster and overlapping and stuff, but neither here nor there. But that requires that a lot of the existing wet zones be justified. Okay. Our zoning is for our request is for a 4 COP. And the zonings that come into question immediately in our survey, which is contained in our packet, are items 10 and 11, which are actually in the center that we're requesting our zoning. Those two stores, actually, one was an expansion of an existing, but it does not is not open for business anymore in the center. And in doing so, what they had done, they had an existing 2 COP, and they came back and they did not address that as a expansion or an existing. They just did a new one, which encompassed 2 addresses within the center, both 1430 and 1432. As I've said, neither one of those are in business anymore. But our request is for unit 1438. So it does not overlap anything, even if it were in business. Also, there seems to be a mystery item of a 2 COP zoning, which is back in 1984. Our surveyor now, if he applies the legal description, we're looking at a piece of dirt kind of sitting out in the nowhere amongst some existing residential zoning. So as of 84 and talking to everyone in the search for license and stuff, nothing was ever made of that particular wet zoning. The others, the numbers 6 and 7, those were part of a hotel, motel compound that was there for years. It is now vacant land, which some of it has been sold off for residential. I assume that's what they're wanting to do with the rest of it. But for some years, there's not been any existing alcohol. Also questioning number 8 on our survey. It is currently used as a marina, a boat storage, of which the current owner has had it since the early 90s, and they have never considered and are not considering any alcohol sales. They do no concession of any type on that property. All of the other wet zones in question, my main comment to those to support it would be that all of these measurements are, as one would say, as the crow flies, a direct line, and the way the area is developed now, to drive there, and then in most cases, even walking there requires much more distance going around properties and walls and stuff. And one of the major components to our site is that our complete property is encompassed within a 5-foot concrete wall with only an opening for in and out of the property. That entrance is located on Apollo Beach Boulevard. Next, if you want to mention some of the real estate, residential, it is showing our closest residential property is 53 feet. That again is that is located on the west side of our compound. Again, with the separation of the 5-foot wall, and this is a townhouse condo type structure. And also, kind of backing up here, with my comment of the cluster in Apollo Beach, it seems as though there's a little potpourri of everything located throughout that community, whether it be residential in the middle of some commercial and vice versa. But as far as fitting in with the community, our center, which we wish to open, the only active business in there taking up all of the square footage other than what we're requesting is a home mortgage type business, which is only open, say, 8 to 5. I don't know if that's the exact hours, but a daytime, as one would say, regular business hours. We're not affecting any community organizations or several shown on our survey. Clientele for our type of business is typically a more mature, and in some cases, maybe even, I hate to say this, older type clientele, but it does stand on its own as far as its own business and the audience that it produces. And the whole deal here is to carry on a great tradition of the Tampa Bay area with a nice cigar, and maybe follow it up with a nice scotch or maybe even a local type craft beer. I have received a couple phone calls in support. I had told them they could turn something in, whether it be online or show up. Obviously, it felt necessary, but really no negative response from anyone for what we're trying to do. That, I hope, describes what you need, and I'll be glad to answer any other questions.
So just to clarify, your testimony is that in this buildings in some of the pictures here, your alcoholic beverage use will only be a portion of that building, and all the rest of it is occupied by this mortgage business?
Yeah, the mortgage loan type business.
And what's the square footage of your use?
Our particular unit that we want to do, including a little bit on the sidewalk, it is just over 3,013, of which 2,412 of that is indoor.
What's going on the outside?
Outside, there would just be, there's a patio area. There would just be some seating to grab some fresh air, and knowing code and everything, that it does not interfere with any the disability acts or anything as far as blocking traffic or anything on the sidewalks.
Right, and then the list of uses, and I see the PD zoning used in residential, I see those distances. Mm-hmm. The rest of them, you mentioned several that are not being used, or?
Correct. They, several have, well, example, kind of in a synopsis here, that numbers 10 and 11, those are in our center. They have gone away. And
what do you mean have gone away?
It's closed for business.
The businesses are closed.
That square footage has been taken over by the mortgage company. Not to say that it could not come back in the future. Then the number 9, like I say, is a mystery item. We all tried to research it, so basically our conclusion was to go with the legal description and trace it. And like you say, it shows up, if you want to look at the map there, it shows up just like in the middle of nowhere. And trying to track licensing and lots of questions being asked. I don't think it ever came to be. It was for a dinner type theater.
So that's 9, 10, and 11.
Okay, and then 6 and 7 are located west of our property on the riverfront. That for years was well, I know for a fact it was a Ramada, and then I think it became something after that. Since then, that building has been demolished. And some of the land has obviously been sold off or it's been developed. Could have been the landowner, I don't know, but for residential, leaving the two lots vacant. Like I say, they sit there as that.
What's number 8?
Number 8 is again west of our property, a little bit northwest. It is on the corner. It operates as a marina, a dry dock storage, obviously. Well, I guess there's a canal behind it. But in talking and visiting there to the owners, they do, I think they might have a soda machine on property, but they do no type of food or beverage. And they have, again, they've been the owners since the 90s. And they've never entertained it. And they again, I understand it could be sold, but they do not entertain it in the near future.
So that just basically leaves then the Alpha Pizza, the Land's End Marina, and the Circles.
Correct.
Are those all still?
Yes, Alpha Pizza is the closest, obviously, to us, recorded as what is that, 146 feet. It is in a strip center adjacent. And again, we have the 5-foot wall separation, and they're well known, easily very popular in the area. Also, you have the Land's End Marina and Circles, number 2 and 3. Again, you see the closest is 576. That is the marina. 836 feet is Circles. But again, that would be, straight line measuring.
And Circles is a restaurant?
Yes.
And the marina, does it have a restaurant or
they do serve some food. They play off each other, same owners.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Did you have anything else? That's all my questions.
That's it as far as our request for the waivers. Again, local establishment trying to help out small business, and they have, like everyone, been victims of the virus and and everything. And it's cost a lot of money, so we're excited to give a thumbs up and be able to move forward with the project.
Okay, thank you, sir. I see the clerk over here to sign in, please. All right, Development Services.
Good afternoon, Kevin DeFrank with Development Services. Now, as the applicant thoroughly stated in his presentation, the request is for a distance separation waiver for a 4 COP AB permit to allow the sale and consumption of beer, wine, and liquor on and off the permitted premises for a proposed neighborhood cigar bar at 1422 Apollo Beach Boulevard, unit number 1438. And per the Land Development Code, provides for the approval of separation waivers where there are special or unique circumstances where the alcoholic beverage use applied for does not have significant impacts on surrounding land uses, and certain circumstances negate necessity for the specified distance requirements. And staff finds the proposed neighborhood cigar bar is located in a commercial strip center, which is a permitted use within the existing CN zoning district. And commercial strip centers commonly include establishments that serve alcohol. And additionally, the surrounding area is a mixture of residential and non-residential uses, many of which are wet zoned. The submitted wet zone survey shows that there are only 2 COP wet zones, AB 13-0895 and AB 15-0197 in the shopping center where the proposed wet zoning is located. And the other wet zonings of specific types are separated by roadways from the shopping center and therefore have no functional relationship with the proposed wet zoning, thereby mitigating the potential cumulative impact of the total number of those wet zonings within 1,000 feet. And the proposed wet zoning will be separated from the townhome project to the northwest by a 5-foot-high wall. And the normal route of travel from the proposed alcoholic beverage use to the entrance of the townhome project is approximately 260 feet, which exceeds the required separation distance. And the proposed wet zoning will be separated from the single-family properties to the northeast by the commercial strip center parking lot, perimeter landscaping, and Apollo Beach Boulevard, which is a 2-lane collector roadway. And in view of those circumstances, staff finds the requested separation waivers for the proposed wet zoning does not pose significant impacts on surrounding land uses, and therefore staff finds the request approvable. And approval is based on the revised wet zoning survey received February 10th, 2021. Thank you. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear from Planning Commission.
They do not comment on wet zoning.
Thank you. All right, move on to proponents. Is anyone in the room or online who wishes to speak in support of this item? All right, are there any persons here or online who wish to speak in opposition to this item? All right, no opponents. And Development Services, any amended recommendations or comments?
No, ma'am.
All right, applicant, any further comments? No, all right. That will close item 21-0174. And that will, I believe, end our agenda for the day. All right, so meeting's adjourned.
Thank you all for putting up with the technical issues. I've